prana Brahma tad om sahana sah satyakamah satyasankalpah sah अन्वेष्टव्यः सविजिज्ञासितव्यः. What happened? Too much, more than a mouthful. Saha vijignyasi tavyaha. If I pronounce like this, Panini is rolling, The grammarian is very not resting in peace. Saha vijignyasitavyah. Saha sarvamscha. Not sarvamscha, sarvamscha. Lokan apnoti sarvamscha kaman Kaman Yaha Tamatmanam Anuvidya Vijanatiti Ha Prajapatihi Uvacha. A big mouthful, huh? Yeah. So we just saw the tip of the what? Atma mountain. What was that? Atma apahata papma. And we can go on and on just about that itself. Because it shows the nature of the Atma as free of regrets. So the one nature of the Atma means you. That's what it is. It's not Atma things somewhere. That one is free of all regrets. No remorse. And by never having to feel in the world is like a cat. You never feels guilty. Lives its life in complete, complete freedom, so to speak. It doesn't say sorry, it doesn't apologize, even when it has been bad, quote unquote, just lives in total, I'm the monarch of all I survey. I've not done anything wrong, me, who? No. So there is no sense of wrongdoing at all. That's very hard to imagine. That's why I gave the example of cat, because somehow you can see in what is being talked about a little bit. This total lack of any kind of feeling of remorse. What a relief. That itself is apahata papma. So papma here, the papa is not just the uncomfortable situations in the here and the hereafter created by past actions, results of past actions. That is the technical definition. But we have to extrapolate and see, what we keep talking about results of action and what is this uncomfortable situation. The uncomfortable situations, are not just physical. Physically, yes, there is so many things wrong. And in fact, if we took a survey in this very room about everybody's health, we will get a big list. A whole big list of all the things that one is on. And if we took a list of all the medications that everybody is on in this room, and the supplements and everything, that itself is a conversation piece. Correct? So there is a lot there. But that itself does not constitute samsara. The physical problems, usually the papa the durita is called such because the physical problems are internalized in the form of guilt and hurt. This is what makes this papa, it is with the papa, with the fried papa. Fried papa, because it has a little punch there. And what is that punch? That punch is that it does not stay localized on the level of the body, on the level wherever the papa affects, on the level of the possessions, on the level of the loved ones, wherever it hits. It gets deeply buried in the recesses of the chittam, the emotive faculty of the mind. In other words, the emotions, the mind. All that is affected. So to hear Atma apahata papma is like, getting a sudden holiday in the middle of the week. Unexpected respect that this is the truth of me, which somehow I knew. Why? Because in sleep there is no guilt. In sleep there is no hurt. There is no remorse. There is no feeling I have been bad. There is no feeling why me? Why did I do this? And why did somebody else do this? I am not dogged by my own omissions and commissions, nor am I dogged by other people's omissions and commissions. These are the only two possibilities. And in sleep, I am free. And then sometimes, even in the waking state, rarely, I feel free. All it takes is to hear a joke, is to feel happy about something, is to just look at, the sunset. I used to say sunrise, but nobody wakes up in time. So I stopped giving that example. So you look at the sunset, you look at the smile of a small baby, you look at something in nature, something that cannot talk back, And smile of a baby means not your child, somebody else's child. Then you can appreciate it more because there is not that feeling of, unresolved expectations, guilt, hurt, etc. Then you can appreciate this even in the waking state. Atma apahata papma. But then most of the time I feel dogged by remorse and guilt. And this itself, this is an opener. What an opening statement, really. This is how to write essays. We learn from the Upanishad. You have to start with a big bang. And the Upanishad starts here with a big bang. It's very reminiscent of the Taittiriya Upanishad. There also there is big bang. How is that? Om Brahma Vidapnoti Param Tadeshabhyukta Satyam Jnanamanantam Brahma Yo Vedanihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman Soshnute Sarvan Kamaan Saha Brahmana Vipaschideti. Again it starts with an aplomb. The knower of Brahman gains the ultimate. Who doesn't want the absolute? Who doesn't want the ultimate? Who doesn't want the whole? Nobody will raise their hands, And so therefore this is something, a universal want, an uncreated want, a want that is uncreated. Every want that is uncreated has its resolution in the here and now. You don't have to look for an afterlife. Hunger right now. Food is here right now. When the baby is born, it doesn't come with packing a sandwich or a milk bottle, just in case there is no milk. And if you have seen National Geographic episodes, without the help of a GPS, the baby makes its way to the mother's milk. Sometimes they are born with their eyes closed, kittens, puppies, etc. But somehow they know how to find the food. Air is needed to breathe or water for the fish, etc. It is provided, it is there. And also, just like hunger and thirst, this hunger, this yearning, this thirst to be free of guilt and recognize myself as absolutely whole is an uncreated need for which the answer is available here and now. It just has to be looked for, it has to be sought after, it has to be sought for after. This is what it says. And then not being satisfied with just saying Atma apahata papma, which was actually the whole thing, a few more things Prajapati proclaims. Let us look at what those things are. Very beautiful. Vijaraha. See, this is a very interesting thing. There is a prefix. V is a fix that has two meanings, two senses. One is you can take it as Visheshena, like specially. Like for example, Jnanam. Jnanam means what? Knowledge. Thank God. Now we can continue. So, Jnanam means knowledge. And then Vijnanam, like Arsha, Vijnana. Vijnanam. What is Vijnanam? It is knowledge that is well ascertained, well assimilated, so that wellness is by the knowledge that specially speaks to oneself. That is what is gained. That is the first meanings of the prefix V. Well ascertained, well done, specially done, properly done, definitely nicely done. That is one meaning of the prefix V. There is another meaning. V is equal to Vigata. Vigata means departed. So Vijaraha. Jara means, Jara is geriatry. That's how the word Jara has. Geriatry has come from Jara. So Jara geriatry, old age. Vijaraha doesn't mean special well done old age, no, ripe old age, no. That's not the meaning here. Here the meaning is different. It means, vigata, jara, yasmat, from which old age has packed its bag and departed. From which means what? What is this which? Huh? Atma. Yes. From which Atma the old age has gotten afraid of and then packed its bag, and it has nothing to do with old age. So here we have to take the V in all these things in the second meaning. Vijaraha. You can't say special jara. No. Atma is not endowed with special Alzheimer's and special dementia and special, all kinds of atherosclerosis and all these things. No. It doesn't have special signs of old age. That from which, it's a very specific Sanskrit construction, that from which the old age has run away, departed. Vigataha. Here the V is what? Specially gone away from. Yeah. Vigataha jara. Vigata jara yasmat. Vijaraha. And then what? There are a lot of V words. What's the next one? Vimrityuhu. Mrityu means what? Death. Yeah. Another name for Lord Yama, who keeps knocking at the door. And then somehow we pop a few pills and outwit him this time. And then he says, okay, I'll go to Starbucks and come back. I'll have a tea break. I will come back. You take your pills and survive for 5 more years. 5 more years later, knock, knock. Who is there? Mrityu. Mrityuhu. Mrityu, you know who. That is who. Mrityu, who doesn't need an introduction. Mrityu, from whom you run away. That Mrityu is saying knock, knock at the door. But here, one door that this Mrityu cannot knock at is the door of Atma, oneself. I am free of death. Vimrityuhu. Vigataha mrityuhu. Yasmat. Yasmat means from which death has beaten a retreat. Everyone runs from death. Death runs from only one thing, that is Atma. This is how it is. It is true. There is a saying in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Bhishasmad vataf pavate bhishodeti suryaha Bhishasmadagnischendrascha mrityurdhavati panchama iti. Bhishat asmat, as though out of the fear of this Atma, the sun rises, means all the laws, the infallible laws, unfold with certainty. The sun does not dare, to not rise and say, I'm sleeping in, it's very cold. You can do that. The sun doesn't have the luxury of doing that. It comes out. And then what? Bhishasmad vataf pavate. Vati iti vayuhu. The air, the wind blows in the ways that it is told to blow. It is told to blow in the form of a hurricane over the Florida waters. It is told to blow in the form of a twister in Oklahoma and the neighboring states. And then it is told to blow very pleasantly in certain places. So it just blows according to how it is told to blow by the Atma, by Bhagavan, by that self which is all. And then what? Agni, Indra, all these celestials do their functions in their own way. And then death, from which everyone runs to the service of the Atma. Mrityuhu dhavati. Dhavati means it doesn't go in chronological order. It doesn't go, I have to go from A to Z, So we start with the last name A and then we go to Z. No. It hops around, it jumps. And also dhavati here means it runs it runs to fulfill the laws of karma. The laws of karma are nothing but Atma. And so here everyone runs from death, but death runs from which is the Atma. Vijara, and then Vimrityuhu. What's the next one? Vishokaha. Shokaha means what? Shokaha. Yeah. Shoka is the shock of sorrow. Shoka is shock. Shoka is sorrow. From shuch to grieve. Shochati, grievati, same thing. And so the one who is grieving. And what is the reason for grief? The reason for grief is a lack. That's the reason for grief. I don't have what I think I want. I don't have what I desire. I don't feel complete. Again, lack. I feel a sense of want connected or centered on the I. And so there is a feeling of loss. There is a feeling of incompletion. There is fear. All these things. So this is what Shoka. So the Shoka does not touch the Atma. Vigataha Shokaha Yasmat, from which the Shoka has run away. Grief has packed its tears and tantrums in its suitcase and has, in dragging this heavy bag of tears behind it and running away from the Atma. Vishokaha, Vimrityuhu, Vijaraha, and then? Yeah? Vijighatsaha, from ghas, to eat. Atma does not need tea break, does not need dinner break, does not need to go to Evergreen. That is where we are having dinner from, so that's why I mentioned it. Does not need to, go to any restaurant. I mean, it look very awkward. Table for two, no, one, because Atma is only one. What will it say? What are you going to have? Everything. Sarvatmatvat. Because I am everything. I don't need anything. Why are you here? I don't need to eat. How about a drink? I don't, apipasaha, next one, I don't need to drink. Vijighatsaha, from which all the, you see the same, this ghas is hardly used. It's not a verb that is used very much, except in this kind of a desiderative or a frequentative, intensive construction. Or in the past passive, we see that. In the Kathopanishad, we get this root verb here, ghas, jagdhatrinaha. Who are described as jagdhatrinaha? The cows that Nachiketa saw being led out. And what was wrong with the cows? They had eaten the last blade of grass allotted to them by Bhagavan. Jagdhatra, Jagdha, that one is here, Vijighatsaha, the one that does not need to eat. Why doesn't it need to eat? Because it is impartite. It is sentient and it is not occupying a particular mass and of energy in a particular space, in a particular time. This I that is being revealed by the Upanishads, so it doesn't need to eat. Because only things that occupy a certain object-wise mass and energy in a particular, time and place need that fueling. Here there is nothing to fuel because nothing is running. There are no calories being depleted. It is neither gaining weight because it is sitting in one place, because it is not sitting in one place. Asino dhuram vrajati, shayano yati sarvatah. This is what Kathopanishad, again, to quote Kathopanishad, it describes. It is sitting in one place, yes, but then sitting, it is going everywhere. With the help of, the intellect, with the help of the mind, it is whatever you think of, wherever you think of, you are there. You may be sitting in the class and looking like you're paying attention. But suddenly you think of Europe, Paris. I wonder how everybody is right now. I wonder what's going on. What a horrible thing that happened. And you've gone to Paris. You are no longer here. Then you think, I just wish I could go to South Africa. I've heard that the Serengeti forest, I should go on a cruise and it'll be so nice to go there and see the lions. And then, the lions are in front of the lions are going the giraffes and the zebras. Why? Because that is the lunch. The lions are not migrating. They are following lunch. That's all it is. They are following their lunches and dinners. Mobile lunch, take out. That's all it is. Yeah. Literally, they take them out. And so this is, and then now, where are you? You are in the Serengeti forest. You are no longer here. Then you think, I wonder when I will go to India. I've never gone. And suddenly you are in India. So therefore, asinaha, sitting here in one place, the Atma as it is all pervasive. It just goes with the help of that sentience. That sentience is not contained. Even the upadhi cannot contain the sentience. The upadhi is an as though container of the sentience. And then shayano yati sarvataha, sarvashaha. Everywhere it goes sleeping, there is even less of a restriction in the form of the mind, saying, okay, now time to pay attention to the rest of the class. There is nothing that is saying that in sleep. In sleep, one is one with the whole. And so this Atma, what is that? It doesn't need to eat because it is not an object. It is not occupying a certain body in a certain place, in a certain time. And so therefore, the eating and drinking are varjita. Varjita means negated. The eating and drinking is because the first reason it is impartite, and second reason it is not expending calories. It is not confined to. It doesn't have a particular mass. It doesn't have parts. It doesn't need to. It is not acting. It simply is. And it is complete. It doesn't need anything to complete it. It is unchanging. So if it required to eat, then there would be what? Apachaya and upachaya. Upachaya means you feed the person nicely and then you put them on the weighing scale. That is called upachaya. And then you wait for all the food to digest. 2 days you don't feed them, put them on the weighing scale. Apachaya, decrease. Upachaya, increase. All this is not there because it is the unchanging I, which as though occupies many bodies, many minds at once, itself without it blesses the body-mind complex with the ability to eat, itself is free of eating, it blesses each body and each mind with the ability to drink, itself does not need to drink. It's not a thirsty Atma. So vijighatsaha apipasaha. Pipasa patum ichha. These are all desiderative construction. Pipasa. And, pipasa patum ichha. And what? Bubhutsa. What is bubhutsa? Bodhum ichha. The desire to know is called bubhutsa. And, mumuksha. The desire to be free. Jijnasa, all these are desiderative constructions, and because there is that desire hidden there. Bhubhuksha, bhoktum ichha, the desire to consume is called bhubhuksha, not to be confused with bubhutsa. So like this there are all these desiderative constructions, and here too we find that pipasa, patum ichha, pipasa, the desire to drink. So, apipasaha, because Atma is masculine, the desire to drink is masculinized in the form of the person not having the desire to drink. So, even though pipasa here is feminine, just like jara, feminine, but then vijaraha, apipasaha, it is masculinized in keeping with the noun Atman, which is a masculine nakaranta noun. So Atma is masculine, so therefore it is the desire to drink is connected to the person here. This Atma is free of the desire to drink. What is the next one? Satya Kama. Kama means desire. So okay, it doesn't have desire to eat and drink. What does it have the desire for? Satya Kama. Satya Kama here means It's not that it has a desire for truth. Satya here means not just truth. Satya here means the absolute. Satya Kamaha means that is the only thing we can define the Atma with regard to if the Atma were to have a desire, it would be for that Sat. If the Atma. This Atma is free of desires, but if it were to have a desire, it would be as the absolute for the absolute. So Sat here means that which is, the only thing that which is. So in other words, it is desiring itself. How can it desire itself? This is how the creation, cosmology of creation is talked about in the Taittiriya Upanishad, in the Chandogya too. So kamayat bahusyam prajayeheti, it desired. This being, Bhagavan, desired. And what was the desire? I like myself so much, may I become many. May I, just populate myself, clone myself. And then, the whole contemplation of the entire universe took place. The contemplation in keeping with the knowledge of past yugas, how the past yugas were projected, how they were, put forth, and how they were taken back. And that same knowledge is called tapas, jnanameva tapaha. And out of this contemplation came this whole universe, sarvam asrijata. And then after creating everything, sarvam abhavat, became everything, not just created everything. Tadeva anupravishat, entered the every being, every casing that was made. It was entered by this very being, this Atma. This free, all-pervasive self, as though entered the bodies, minds and complexes of all beings, sentient and insentient. It inhabited itself in the whole universe of names and forms it had created. Therefore, every name, every form is sacred. And it just, became itself. And that is what is called Satyakamaha. Satyakama is that desire because of which this whole universe is able to come forth as a potential, be sustained by that same kama and be resolved into that by that same kama, that potential. So that Satyakama is the ability to project this universe as and when needed, again in keeping with the laws of the jivas clamoring to be incarnated. The disembodied jivas are sitting there saying, when is my turn going to come? Why? Because disembodied being is no fun. You're just hanging around somewhere. Can't even have ice cream, can't have hot chocolate, can't attend Vedanta class, can't do anything. You're just sitting, hanging around. So therefore, one needs a body, whether for yoga, bhoga, moksha, whatever the pursuit, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, one needs a body. And so the jivas who are sitting in the form of a potential, they are clamoring, they are knocking on the door of Ishvara's consciousness. Me, incarnate me. My desire is greater. They are jostling with one another. Me first. Let me into a body. Let me in. So that is half of the life. Let me in. I want to be included. And then the other half is what? Let me out. Why me? Let me out. Help. Drahimam, pahimam. Save me. Help me. This is the lament. This is a very, that's why all the devatas in the Hindu tradition are happily married, because they need to confide into one another. Vishnu needs to look at Goddess Lakshmi and say, what is wrong with these people? I keep giving them what they want and still they are crying. That's why she's pressing his legs. Don't worry, don't think about them. This is not rational. No one said they were rational. This is how they are. So this is what the whole thing is. And so the clamoring jivas and that are born in keeping with the laws of their own karma, because there is no partiality here. Some of them are not chosen, there is no chosen one, there is no chosen few, it's all according to the karma. It's all a very dispassionate projection of this universe, and that dispassion is called here Satyakamaha. And then what? Satya Sankalpaha. So here it's very clear, this Atma that is being talked about is Ishvara. The second definition of Yaska, Apnoti Sarvam, Vyapnoti Sarvam, that which gains everything, which is everything, and which is, all pervasive. Satya Sankalpaha. Satya Sankalpa here means the one who doesn't have any desires. And if one doesn't have any desires, one becomes an altar for prayer for people with desires. Very interesting logic here. Because if somebody already is full of desires and you go and use them as an altar of surrender for your desires, your desires may clash with some of their desires, correct? And so you are not going to get what you want. But if the altar of surrender is free of desires, then your desires, because it doesn't stand to gain or lose from whether you have desires or not, or how strong they are. And if your desires are strong enough, and if your prarabdha doesn't come in the way, and if you approach an altar of surrender that is free of desires, then it becomes a source of blessing for those desires to come true. And so, what is the altar of blessing? Altar of blessing is Bhagavan, or someone who is Atmagyaha. Atmagya means what? Atmanam janati iti. Atmagyaha, the knower of the Atma, is free of desires. The one who knows this, the one who has this knowledge, Atma apahata papma, is free of desires, because having a bunch of desires all the time and also desiring the Atma doesn't work. So therefore, one is free of desires. Free of desires means free of clamoring desires, and the desires that are there in the being are more like an ornamentation, like a vibhuti. Like Lord Krishna's feather in his crown. What is the feather? Peacock feather. Peacock feather is adorning the crown of Lord Krishna. And if you take it away and run, he's not going to run after you. Mine, give it back. Flute. You snatch the flute and run away. Hey, that's mine. What am I going to do with my time? I'm addicted to the flute, no. And so all these things, Gana Vilola, fond of music and dance, always, swaying Krishna. That swaying is again a free desire. A free desire, not a binding desire. The swaying is a free desire, the flute is a free desire, the feather is a free desire. Why not ostrich feather? Because Lord Krishna is not Victorian, he's Indian. That's for national bird, peacock. Therefore we have that. So that is what is available, and that is what was an object of love, but an object of free love. Pitambaradhari, fond of yellow. If you put Lord Krishna in blue, he's not going to say, wait a minute, what have you done? No punya for you. No, nothing like that. So the desires in the one who is Bhagavan, in the one who is the knower of the Atma, the desires are what? Free. There may be desires, there will be desires. It's not the point of killing the desires, that's not the issue. The point is to understand that these desires are not binding in the person. So the Atmagya is free of desires, and the Mundaka Upanishad ends with a beautiful note, a beautiful mantra that says, Atmagyam hi archayet bhuti kamaha. Bhuti is opposite of mukti. Mukti kamaha, mukti is freedom. The ones who are desirous of freedom, bhuti is little dividends in samsara. I want a little bit of moksha, but along with that, I want my family to be okay. I want money, lots of it, and I have all these ambitions. I have all this list, including bucket list, and I want all these things to be checked off. So these are all what is called bhuti. Bhuti means that the finite, finite desires is called bhuti. So bhuti kamaha, those that have the desire for bhuti, atmagyam archayet. Worship the knower of the Atma, because the knower of the Atma being dispassionate, all the desires come true because they are Satya Sankalpaha. And Pujya Swamiji was known to be that. Whatever you had a desire, you approached, even without saying it, it would come true if your own prarabdha did not stand in the way. So here, this definition of Satya Sankalpa, even though it is used for Atmagya, it is also equally, it is used for Atmagya because it is the definition of the Atma. Satya Sankalpa. Meaning, between the projection of this and the manifestation of the universe and the planning, there is no time and space, because time and space are part of the projection. There is no mistake either. It's not like, it was a very bad idea to put those dinosaurs. Let's take them out. No, nothing like that. It is all infallible, and it's an infallible projection, effortless projection, and the projection is as good as the thought. How? Like in your dream. In your dream, you don't have to work really hard to have this dream, and you don't have to think, how am I going to project this dream? No, it's effortless. You think of your friends are there. You think of a boat is there. Of course, boat cannot go on land. You think of water is there. How will it go? You think of oars are there. Of course, you don't want to row. The friends are rowing. Let them row. You are just merrily, riding in the boat. Then without the sunset, what fun? Then the sunset is, you think of sunset, it is there. In dream, you are Satya Sankalpa. Till the alarm rings, you are Satya Sankalpa. That is what you are. And here too, Atma is described as Satya Sankalpa. At least in dream, your Sankalpa is inhibited, because it is coming under this whole universe and its laws, including your own prarabdha when you wake up. But for Atma, for Ishvara, the Sankalpa, Satya Sankalpa is uninhibited, totally free. So Satyakama, Satya Sankalpa, this is Tatastha Lakshana. Up till now we saw Swarupa Lakshana. Do we know? Does everybody know Swarupa Lakshana, Tatastha Lakshana? Yes, no? No. So, Swarupa Lakshana means the essential nature without which something cannot exist. Like what is the Swarupa Lakshana of fire? Heat and light. Heat and light. Without heat and light there is no fire. This is Swarupa Lakshana. So the essential nature of Bhagavan, Atma, Brahman, I, etc. is the first few qualities, first few attributes. In fact, they are attribute-less attributes, as it were, definitions. Vigataha, that's why it is all, described, because you cannot really describe it as an attribute, because it is attribute-less. So the attribute-lessness is the attribute of which, this is what is the as though attribute of which we are seeing. Vigataha, vigata jara yasmat, from which all old age has departed, from which death has run away, from which hunger and thirst, which hunger and thirst do not touch, which sorrow does not afflict, which fear does not come near. All this, is the first part. It is called Swarupa Lakshana. But when we come to the manifest universe, and the Atma as the author of the manifest universe. Who said Atma is the author of the manifest universe? This is what Taittiriya Upanishad says. Starts with Brahman. Brahmavid apnoti param. Talks about knower of Brahman gains the ultimate. But in the next mantra it changes to Atma. Tasmad va etasmad. Not Brahmana. Atmana akashas sambhutah. From this Atma has come the space, from space has come fire, from fire has come water, etc. The whole 5 elements, and then the trees, and then the food that has come, and that which is nourished, the bodies which have been nourished by the food, all this has come from this Atma alone. What is this kind of a coming? This is a coming and going, which is an as though coming and going, just like your own dream world. You can't say this Jagat is a dream. That would not be correct. But we can help ourselves to the logic of the dream state to understand the effortlessness and the as though nature of the projection. That which is projected is a dependent reality, just like the dream is dependent upon the dreamer. Dream is dependent upon the dreamer. There is no dream without the dreamer. Similarly, there is no Jagat without the Atma. So both as the projector and the inhabitor of the universe, the Atma alone is, when you say Satya Sankalpa, Satya Kama, those things are in relation to the manifest universe. This is also a definition of the Atma. But this is a definition which is a changing definition. Why changing definition? Because there are times where the universe is not, right? In between cycles of creation, no universe, but still apipasaha, vijaraha, vimrityuhu, that still applies. But then you cannot say Satya Sankalpaha, Satya Kamaha, because all the beings and their desires have gone into a causal form. That's why the physicists talk of the primal soup, So they're all swimming in this soup, pre-creation soup, so to speak. But, so that is what is there. So therefore, all that is there is Ishvara. Ishvara is not mithya. Ishvaratvam is mithya. Jiva is not mithya. Jivatvam is mithya. Jivaness. Ishvaraness, that status itself is dependent upon the manifest universe. So when we talk of these two words, Satya Kamaha, Satya Sankalpaha, this is called Tatastha Lakshana, a definition that comes and goes, a definition that is inconstant, not a constant definition. The other words from Vijaraha, Vimrityuhu, Vishokaha, Vijigatsaha, Apipasaha, etc. are definitions that are, all the time relevant. These two, Satyakamaha, Satya Sankalpaha, is relevant only because Sankalpa means intention, Kama means desire. So when there is desire, then there is already two things, or potentially two things. So Satyakamaha, Satya Sankalpaha, Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means it's like recognizing the friend's house in a subdivision which has all identical homes. And how do you recognize? You don't know where your friend lives, but somebody says, oh, that person who just moved in last week? Yes, that's my friend. I want to go see them. You see that house? Which house? On which a crow is sitting. Do you see that house? That is your friend's house. Then you thank the person, you go to the friend's house, and then the next week they say, we are having a housewarming party, please come. So you return. Do you look for the crow? No. The crow has done the job and has gone away. Correct? So this similarly, Satyakama, Satya Sankalpa, these are lakshanas, they indicate what Bhagavan is. And then, they are no longer relevant, they are there, they are timed definitions. Whereas the others are unchanging definitions. So the first is what? The first is the Mahavakya, Atma Apahata Papma. Because what do I think of myself? I think of myself as subject to Papa, subject to remorse, guilt, bad luck. And even the fictional characters bemoan like this. to be or not to be. That is the question. And what is the next line? What is the next line? The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. This is what it is. To feel this onslaught of the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. This fictional character called Hamlet, the Prince of Denmark, is crying that he has been singled out for the arrows of outrageous fortune. I always say he must have studied Rudram, because that's what we pray in the Shri Rudram. Namaste Rudramanyava Utota Ishave Namaha. Namaste Astu Dhanvani Bahubhyam Utate Namaha. Keep your bows and arrows to yourself. Oh, Mr. Outrageous Fortune, don't fling them onto me. Keep your anger to yourself. Shivatama Shivam Babhuvate Dhanuhu. A special prayer to your quiver, to your arrows, to your bow. Let them be Shivatama, let them be most auspicious. Let them be a source of auspiciousness. Let them be quietened. Let them not unleash my own karmic retribution upon me. My own karma is being returned to me, gift wrapped at the end of a pointed arrow. Let it not trouble me. So this is why it's a Mahavakya, because I think of myself as subject to the laws of the universe and the laws of my own karma, from which I see no escape. And in this equation, I am free of papa, because I am that Atma, not the one who eats karma phala, but the one who is free, the one who is all pervasive. This is why, so after the Mahavakya, the whole Atma is defined from two standpoints, from the standpoint of itself and from the standpoint of the universe. Because the manifest universe, you cannot suddenly say, poof, go away, you are the cause of my problems. You can't do that. But I can go sit in a cave, yes, but inside there are bats, and all kinds of things. Stalactites of doubts, bats of despair, flapping around, foliage that stops me from seeing Bhagavan as myself. All kinds of disturbances are there. So the Jagat, which is a potential source of disturbance, I just am able to see this, not as something that is intended to disturb me. I am free of that. So the Jagat, which is a potential source of disturbance, is converted into a blessing with this knowledge. That is why I can say, Atma apahata papma, I am unafflicted by sorrow, by anger, by fears, by everything in the universe. And everything within, everything without, free of that. And this is the declaration that the Devas and the Asuras, both of them heard. And this video of Prajapati saying this, somebody videoed him in the sabha in a big hall, and this video was uploaded on YouTube. Yeah, iTube, because at that time it was only I. And it went viral. It had so many hits and so many likes, and everybody said, this Prajapati, who is this Prajapati? Before, when he was Googled, because he was a modest man and never really put anything there, and before, when he was Googled, nothing showed up. Now if you Google Prajapati, there's so many pages and pages and pages, and everybody said, from the Devas side also they said, this is something we have to find out. We have to find out this Atma. We have to find out the person who said this, because this is not an ordinary thing to say. And the one who said this is an extraordinary person. Catch hold of this person and find out how this Atma is this. Find out more about this Atma. Catch hold of this Prajapati. Wanted Prajapati. They put this is what the Asuras did. They put posters. Where are you? And then the Devas also said they made a sankalpa, a strong, ambition and a strong intent. What was the intent? Seek out Smoke out Prajapati wherever he is. Find him, because he is the one who holds the master key to this Atma, Apahata Papma, to this freedom from this wanting, freedom from this guilt, this hurt, this remorse. This is the one who holds the key. Find this fellow and go be with him. And of course the Upanishad is a lady of few words. We have to extrapolate what happened. Perhaps the Devas held a meeting and said, let us depute Indra and he can go. And the Asuras did not hold a meeting. They had a fight, and whoever survived, they had a duel or whatever they had, and then they fought it out. And the fittest one, as Darwin describes, the fittest one who survived was Virochana, and Virochana packed a sandwich, and then Indra also packed a sandwich, and both of them set forth to the realm of Prajapati. Because a few more things are left here, because this is what it says. It's not just enough to hear about this Atma once. It is not just enough to say Atma, Apahata Papma and feel good for 5 minutes. This is Saha, this Atma, Anveshtavyaha. This is also what the Prajapati said. Anveshanam means examination, enquiry. A studied, committed enquiry is Anveshanam, where you discern, you separate, you look through everything. A committed enquiry, saha anveshtavyaha. Tavya means must be, there is no other way. It must be inquired into, this Atma must be inquired into, saha anveshtavyaha. And not only that, you can inquire into many things which are an object of idle curiosity, but saha vijignyasitavyaha. Jignyasitavyaha, let us take. Jignasa means what? Huh? What? A desire to know. Yeah. Jignasitavyaha must be desired to know. And then here again we have the prefix vi. Vigata jignasa yasmat, from which all desire to know has departed. Is that how you will resolve the compound? No. Equipped with a special desire to know. You see how much fun Sanskrit is? So easy. So easy. Equipped with a special desire to know. Not only, it's not a dispassionate research. Anveshtavyaha, it must be looked into, it must be researched into. But not from the point of view of academia, as I call it. Not from the standpoint of a researcher. What will the researcher do? They will count how many times the word Atma comes in Chandogya Upanishad. That is not the point. This is not a dispassionate research. It's a passionate search. And that passion is in me, the seeker. It's not a dispassionate search. Oh, this is, this piques my interest or my curiosity. Let's see what's behind it. No, this is a passionate search, powered by the desire to know. As the Mundaka said, it's not the hair is on fire, the head itself is on fire. There's no time to even, have a coffee on the way to the class. You need to find a class immediately. You need to find the downpour of the Upanishads immediately to cool the fire in the head. That should be the urge to know. So, vijignyasitavyaha, anveshtavyaha. So, it should be looked into, researched into, sought after. And then what? Vijignyasitavyaha, must be desired, And here, hidden in these two words is the method of gaining the Atma, because the teacher has to come into the picture. Guru Mukhat, through the teachings, through the teacher. Because sometimes when you want to know something on your own, one comes in one's own way. We saw this yesterday. One comes in one's own way. One's own infrastructure is that of a doubting Thomas. And, so therefore, all the doubts come in my way of understanding. Vijignyasitavyaha. So when the jignasa is there, the desire to know is there, there is a tivra ichha, that the great desire brings in the teacher, brings in the teaching. Even if you think you don't want, the teacher appears. And then what? The teaching takes place. And so I submit to the teaching, I surrender to the teaching, and I listen in a relaxed way. All this is brought in with vijignyasitavyaha. And then what? So what do I get out of this? After all, this is the human mind reading this, correct? Okay, I'm going to put a lot of effort. I'm going to go to the teacher. I'm going to, sit and study. Isme mujhe kya milega? What will I get? Saha sarvan kaman. What is that? How does it say that? Saha sarvamscha lokan apnoti. Sarvan kaman. So the person gains all the lokas at once. All the lokas. To get one loka itself, you have to do so much. To go to Brahma Loka, you have to do upasana, you have to do a lot of good karma, you have to do charity, you have to do prayers. When you are not praying, you have to be in charity. When you are not doing charity, you have to be praying. And then when you are not doing either, you have to be doing a big fire ritual. All these things you have to be busy. And then perhaps you get Brahma Loka. And then how difficult it is to get one Loka. Because there should be no mistake in the chanting, no mistake in the fire ritual, nothing, everything should go perfectly. But, here, all the lokas are as though gained with the knowledge of the Atma, because the Atma is every loka. Yes. Atma is everything. So gaining the Atma, everything is as well gained. So go to that which is behind everything, which is the truth of everything, which is the content of this whole universe, rather than gaining discrete things in the universe. Same thing with desires. You gain all the desires in one fell swoop, not one after the other. One after the other you get the desire because the body is, an inhibitive factor. You can't desire ice cream and crackers and cookies all at the same time. So impossible to eat that. Sambar and ice cream are two separate things. You can't desire them at the same time and have them at the same time and enjoy them at the same time. That is not the point here. The point is, as good as all the desires are gained when the desirer is understood as a spoof. There is no such person as the desiring person. The desiring person is mithya, the wanting person is negated through the teaching. And I find in myself a completeness that I recognize. So that is how sarvan kaman ashnute sarvamscha lokan apnoti, gains everything. And then in this gaining everything, what happens? Tam atmanam yaha. Who gains this? Again it is reiterated. Yaha tam atmanam anuvidya vijanati. The one who inquires into this Atma and then knows it according to the krama. Krama means what? The order mentioned in the Upanishads. Going to the teacher, etc. This was Prajapati's declaration. And then both of these fellows got ready. Indra and who? Virochana. And both of them followed the same road, and both of them went to Prajapati. They met each other on the way and they did not talk to one another because they were arch enemies. Devas and Asuras, what will they have in common? In fact, Virochana was always Indra wannabe. That's who Virochana was. I want to be like him and I hate him for everything that he has. And I want more, because that is the Asura mentality, grab, grab, grab. And Indra also had his own ego. Who is this idiot? This is not me. Who is this fellow? What a complete waste of time this fellow is. And this fellow is going to gain the knowledge? Give me a break. How this fellow is going to get the knowledge? No way. I refuse to even acknowledge that this person is there. And like clones, they both arrived at the abode of Prajapati, And on the way, like clones of each other, they collected fuel sticks to offer as an offering. Because there is an injunction, Riktapanirna Pashyet, Rajanam Daivatam Gurum, do not see empty handed. Three categories of people: a king, a place of worship, a Bhagavan in a place of worship, or a teacher. Bring something. And so what did they bring? They brought fuel for Prajapati's Agnihotra, fire ritual, daily fire ritual. Nitya karma is there, so you help the teacher if the teacher is a householder, and not for a sannyasi teacher, but for a householder teacher. In the ancient times, this was the best present because they could sleep in for half an hour without needing to go and collect the twigs fallen on the ground. So you give the teacher 15 more minutes or half an hour more of sleep by offering to collect the twigs for the fire ritual. It is not cut from the trees. It is all gathered from the ground. All the twigs that have naturally fallen are collected and made into a nice bundle, and you tie a nice bow, with straw or something, and then you present it as a mark of service. I am able to grovel on the ground and then pick up the sticks, and then make them into a bundle and do even this menial job for the sake of this knowledge. So it shows one's readiness. And so for both these gentlemen have to be commended for this kind of readiness. They were ready to leave their kingly abode because they heard Atma, Apahata Papma. They had the desire to learn, both of them. And they had a healthy competition. They did not want to acknowledge one another. And they were copycats of each other. Perhaps Virochana was a big copycat. He saw Indra picking up sticks and he says, oh, I'm also going to pick up sticks. He saw Indra making a bundle. This fellow also said, I'm going to make a bundle. He saw Indra eating his sandwich. And then he also ate Indra's sandwich when Indra wasn't looking. And so like this, he did whatever Indra did. And Indra went and laid flat on the floor, namaskara to Prajapati. He also laid flat on the floor. Indra put the sticks by the feet of Lord Prajapati. He also put his stick bundle there. And this is how it was going on. It's almost like Virochana had no other voice than Indra's. It's very, very interesting. He kept on copying. Clone. He was a clone of Indra. He just went on copying everything that Indra did. And in the process, they go there, and then let us see what happens after they go there. Very interesting. Tadha Ubhaye Devasuraha Anububudhire Teha Uchuhu Tam Atmanam Anvichamaha Yamatmanam Anvishya Sarvamscha Lokan Apnoti Sarvamscha Kaman iti Indro ha eva Devanam Abhipravraja Virochanaha Asuranam Kauha Asamvidanau Eva Samitpani Prajapati Sakasham Ajagmatuhu. Yeah. So, Tadha Ubhaye, both these groups, Ubhaye means both of them, who are they? Devaha and Devas and Asuras, Anububudhire. Anububudhire means they heard all this and they knew the importance of this, and they heard the importance of this, and then what did they say? Teha uchuhu, both of them said. In one voice, both of them understood the grandeur of this Atma and said, Tam Atmanam, that Atma, Anvichhamah, we are going to look into this Atma. That Atma we are going to look into. Which Atma is that? Yam Atmanam Anvishya, knowing which Atma, Sarvamshcha Lokan Apnoti. Knowing which all the lokas are as good as gained. Everything that I desire is as good as gained. This is what we are going to do. We are going to look for the master key that unlocks the nature of this desiring person. And the one that resolves this desiring person is the one that we want. So, Indra Havai, Haha Eva, Indra indeed. Who is this Indra? Among the Devas. Pravraja, meaning set forth in a nice way. Nice way means what? The king was leaving to go look for the Atma. That shows what? There is great humility. He left even his chappals there, no slippers and ordinary clothes. Left all his cloaks and all his scepter, crown, etc. Because this shows the grandeur of the pursuit of the Atma and the humility that is needed. And so perhaps recognizing the purport, recognizing the grandeur of this purport, the people in the capital city gave him a wonderful welcome. Pravavraja, wonderful, not welcome. What is that? Farewell. A nice farewell party. Here have very good food in the ashram. There will only be dal and rice. One day and next day what? Rice and dal. And so, therefore, eat up. This is your last supper for a long time. And so here is some pocket, some sandwiches we'll pack for you, and also for Virochana, because he's going to steal from you along the way. All these things they said, so they gave him a nice fond farewell. So Indra from among the Devas set forth, and Virochana did the same. After some bloodshed, he was the one who chose himself, because nobody else was there to fight him out. All of them were resting peacefully. And so then he said, I am the chosen one. I am going to set forth. And they all said, all right, one less terrorizing, fellow amongst our midst, and maybe some good will come of this. He too is searching for the Atma, wonderful, and he too has given up a lot of things. He has given up the same things that Indra has given up. Fantastic. So let them both go. So both of them go. And then what? They meet up along the way. Let's say the palace and the kingdom of the Devas and the kingdom of the Asuras are side by side, and they approach from their palaces, and just beyond the forest is one road that leads to the abode of Prajapati. So they meet up there. And do they say hello? No. Do they say, how come you are here? They are thinking that, but they are not saying that. They don't even look at each other, like Navagrahas. These Navagrahas, these 9 planets, they don't face one another. So like that, they just went back to back, side to side, not looking at each other. And that is described in a very beautiful way here. Asamvidanau, dvau, tau. So both of them are asamvidanau, means they have no connection with one another. Not at all, disconnected from one another, not communicating with one another. And both of them have sticks in hand. And my imagination is Indra gathered the sticks, and Virochana also followed and gathered the sticks. And then Prajapati Sakasham. Sakasham means in front of Prajapati, near Prajapati. They presented themselves. Ajagmatuhu means they approached, they departed from their respective palaces and met up along the way without acknowledging each other's presence, gathered the fuel sticks and approached Prajapati. And what happened after that? We will see that in tomorrow's class. So what happens after that is very interesting. So now we will have some arati and then we will have dinner. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, so now we will have Arati, then we will have dinner. After that, we've not had question answers the whole day, so we can have some questions relating to whatever you have heard and studied. There can be some questions. So I will look at we will have satsang from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So instead of going in the shrine, we will do a separate arati, but everybody will not fit there. We can do arati to Lord Krishna here. We will just do that. We will bring the lamp here. Lamp is already here. We can bring that big lamp and do that here. So see you all at 8 o'clock if you are awake and if you want to join. It is the weekend, you can do that, yeah. Om Namah Shivaya.